Hi, this is Miss Serratus, and in this video we are going to look at the directions for Norwood Industrial. If you have typed this spreadsheet, then you did not read the direction because yes, I have pre-typed it for you. You're welcome. So open up the file and we're going to start with direction number 2. This particular assignment is going to explore other formatting options and different ways of navigating through Excel. So it's very important that you watch the video in its entirety. So number 2 wants to change the formatting for cell A1. So I'm going to go ahead and click on cell A1. And to apply different formats, you're probably used to clicking on these buttons, but I want to direct your attention to these little pull-out arrows. They actually are all over the place in different tabs. And what they do when you click on them is they bring up a bunch of menus with different tabs. So right now we're on the font tab, and here we can change the format. So according to directions, we want Arial, we want bold italic, size 16, color green, and a single underline. And then I click OK. And now I'm going to go to A2 and follow direction number 3, but this time I am going to use the buttons above. Arial, bold, italic, size 11, size 14, and then the color green again. No underline. The next direction is to merge and center. Select A1 through H1, hit the merge and center button. A2 through H2, again, merge and center button. So far, all these directions were repeat, so you should have been able to handle that without the video. But direction number 5, that's something new, inserting rows. We need some space, and according to the directions, we actually need 3 lines, 3 rows in between the title and all this data. So I'm going to show you 3 different ways to insert a row. So one way, it doesn't matter where I'm clicking as long as I'm on the row that I need to put a new row in. I need to put a new row in row 3. I'm going to go to the Insert button, which is located on the Home tab. Click on the drop-down arrow and select the option Insert Sheet Rows, and that puts in a row. Another way to insert a row is to right-click on the row in a cell and go to the Insert option, but be careful. You must change your selection to Entire Row. Otherwise, you're going to shift the spreadsheet around and you will not be happy. Click OK. There we have 2 rows. A third way to insert a row, and honestly, it's my favorite way, is to right-click on the row header and then just do the Insert option. That's it. We have inserted 3 rows. I'm undoing and showing you how you could just use the row header option to put in 3 rows very quickly. I'm going to select 3, 4, and 5, right-click on it, and hit Insert, and bam, 3 rows. Moving on, direction number 6. This is a repeat. So select A6 through H6. Make sure that we are at Arial, size 11. Make sure we're bold, and the color red. Number 7 is actually a new thing, changing the orientation of text. Make sure your text is still selected when you do this. The orientation button is actually this button over here. And you could, which basically means that you can flip your text around within the cell. But for this particular direction, it's very particular. We want to change the text to 35 degrees, not 45 degrees or 90 degrees. We want 35 degrees. So this option is not going to work for us. What I want to point out is there's a pull-out arrow right here under the alignment, and it automatically takes you to the alignment tab. If you decide to use the font pull-out arrow, it's okay. Just jump to the alignment tab. And towards the right is where you'll adjust the orientation. So what I could do is literally drag this line, notice the degrees changing, drag the line up or down to where I need it to be, or if I want to be really picky, I can go ahead and nudge it with the arrows. When I've got to 35, click OK, and there you go. It's really cool. Number 8, apply a thick bottom border. Applying a border is actually difficult for some kids. Some kids get the option of the idea of a border and an underline confused. An underline, what that does is it literally underlines the text. If you notice, it didn't put a line on the bottom. It underlined my words, so I don't want that. So I'm going to click it to get rid of it. This is my border button, and when you click on it, there are different options. So the directions wants a thick bottom border. So I need to scroll down, not just do the bottom border, select the thick bottom border. Let me show you the difference. So let's say, for example, I only select these three and do bottom border, but now I'm going to select the remainder and do thick bottom border. Do you see the difference? This line is slightly thicker. However, I can actually make it thicker than that, and let me show you how. I'm going to select the original three, and this time I'm going to go to my pull-out arrow, and I'm going to go to border. And under border, under line style, I'm going to select the thickest line that I see, and that's this one here. And then to apply that, I need to actually click on this space here. This is a cell. I'm telling the cell that I want to apply it to the bottom of the cell. So I click on that, click OK, and look at that. Isn't that line just a little bit thicker than the thick bottom border? It is. So let me fix it so the entire line is the same thickness. So instead of doing this pull out, one other way is I'm going to go to the borders button, go down to more borders, and we're back in the same spot. Again, pick the thickest line, click here in the cell, click OK, and there we have it, a thick bottom border. Number 9, currency style to column G. Select column G and hit the $sign. And when you do that, your spreadsheet may turn into these hashtags, which older people refer to as pound symbols. When you see that, please don't worry. That does not mean that the spreadsheet blew up. It simply means that there are numbers there that represents a number symbol, but the numbers do not fit. One way to make the numbers fit is to widen the column. See, when I widen the column, I can actually see all the numbers. However, if that doesn't work, continue following the directions. The directions say to get rid of the decimals, and look what happens when I got rid of the decimals. It made the number a little smaller, just enough to fit. So number 9 was to apply currency style with no decimal. Number 10 is changing the date format. This is a really cool thing. The date was actually typed in using numbers, but you can actually change the way the date looks. And you could do that using this option here, going to date, but my personal way is to do the pull-out. Make sure you're on the date option, and you have different ways. Like, for example, I could do this, and if I do that, it tells me what the day of the week was. So August 20th, 2015, for example, was a Thursday. Who knew? But for this particular example, I'm actually asking you to pick the one that says 14-March 12. And when I do that, it changes it to that type of setting. I'm just going to move the column back because it widened when I was playing with the date. But if you have a little bit extra time and you want to play around with something with the other date format, let me give you a suggestion. My son, for example, his birthday is July 28th, 2001. And if I want to know what day of the week that was, I can go ahead and pull that option. He was born on a Saturday. So if you're just curious, find an empty cell and do that. It'll tell you what day you were born. Okay, now you try this exercise.